your eyes for a minute, close your eyes for a second.
Hi Posh fam, welcome back to my channel Poshcateyes Unfiltered. Today we're going to be talking about all things married at first sight. Now, like I said, I'm going to try and do sort of like a weekly summary of the series. It's actually better that way instead of coming to you with episodes per episodes. There's not a lot of talking moments, although there were, but they're not so huge or impactful that you would have missed out on anything. I don't think you missed out on a lot this week. Now we kick things off, like I did say in my last video. The last final weddings happened with Jules and Grayson, as well as Philip and Stella. Now we catch up, just before the dinner party happened, and there was sort of a slow burn effect with Jules and Grayson. Now, no surprise there. From my point of view, I feel Jules was expecting, to be matched with a female this time around. And when that didn't happen, she had to obviously have her psyche, in a way that she would be accepting of Grayson. And so no surprise there that nothing happened during their honeymoon stay. For Philip and Stella, it was fireworks. They pretty much had gone third base. There's no longer the friendship. We can establish that they are now, in fact, a couple and in a sexual type of relationship. So good on them. They seem to be very heavy on each other, and they seem to be very comfortable with each other. I guess with the Eastern European vibe and all of the things that tick the box, regardless of what Joe, the best friend, said, Stella is, looking forward to finding out more about Philip and hoping that things will work out, to her advantage. Now we'll move on straight to the dinner party. Now this is where the couples, got to meet themselves for the first time as a couple. Mind you, they had seen each other, but separately when they were single. So this time around, the dynamic's a little bit different. They've been married, they've gone on their honeymoons, and so most of the judgy or judgment would probably begin, because a lot of couples are not exactly perfect. Others are on shaky grounds, not exactly stable, and so the comparison will gonna be highlighted here, and that's exactly what happened. Now, very, very quickly, Gia and Scott seems to think that they are the power couple. I'm not sure who gave him that title, but I guess, Gia is a little bit, she's a lot, she's a handful, she's full of herself. And so it's no surprise that they have claimed the power couple role or crown, as it were. David and Alicia seem to be, going at a steady pace. They, walked into the dinner hall hands in hands. And very quickly, we saw Beck and Danny, struggle streets. We all know what happened during their honeymoon stay. Now, things are a little bit shaky from their point of view, but Beck is hell-bent on trying to establish herself as someone that is happy or in a happy state with her partner, Danny, which we all know is not exactly the case. Now, very quickly, things turn, because Gia specifically wanted to know which of the couple had been intimate. And I'm not sure how I felt about this, because I know Gia and Scott had well and truly established that base very early on, and even if they've seen their entire bodies at this point. So having to throw that question, to the group in that manner, given that some couples are not exactly where they are at, was a bit unfair. But I guess with Gia, she's trying to steady pause, she's trying to create, again, that dynamic duo as a power couple effect. And it's not exactly lost on me to see how she's trying to create that divide and have other people question why they're there. That's exactly what's happening. But I can say for a fact that Beck, they're not going to see eye to eye here. And so this is where the drama is going to be happening. The producers have already, egged them on to the point where they are now alluding that Danny might be into Gia. I'm not sure how that came across, but we'll get to see how this goes. But again, I did say that Beck and Danny are in their struggle state, and so it wasn't hard to say, or it was so obvious to the other couples that when the questioning starts coming up, Beck didn't really have a lot of leg to stand on. She did try to, explain it away, but it did not hit or land well. Gia saw through her BS or mask and tried to question her more, to the point where I think she did laugh at her to to make her feel like, oh, you've gone third base, but his friend zones you. I don't know. Like I did say, are they a perfect match? I do not know. I'm not giving them the perfect match crown at this point. They have a few more, there are a few more hurdles that's going to come their way. But I would say that it is a testament to Danny, having to manage Beck's very high expectation and I would say low self-esteem. There's the reason I said that. She has been sending accusatory comments across Danny way. Now we do not know if Danny is in fact guilty of these accusations because we're not there, but I would say she is coming across as very, very needy. Mel, on the other hand, couldn't wait to get on the girls and let them know that Luke wasn't a vibe at all. Luke wasn't what she signed up for. She pretty much wanted a Brad, what's his name? There's this particular actor that she wanted. I could describe him for you. Blonde hair, blue eyes, just anything that is not Luke was what she asked for. But forgetting the fact that she did say she was going to be accepting of whatever the experts gives her. And but this is quite a contrast because she paid Luke no attention. She quite literally told the girls that there was nothing that was connecting her and Luke. She saw no connection. There wasn't anything in his physical attribute that would give her the opportunity to even give him a second chance, which is quite sad. The girls did try to tell her to give it a shot, to try. They wanted to know, okay, what were the icks? She actually said he listens to the TV loud. And I'm like, are you serious? Girl, you're not ready to get married. Sorry, there ain't no Ken that is not going to be listening to his TV louder than you. He might even be watching sports 24/7. And here you are having an ick factor to that. You're not ready. Maybe stay single because it's going to serve you best at this point. They did try. Stella was like, you need to give him a chance. He's a very sweet bloke from the look of things. Luke does seem like he's out of place here. He's way over his depth. I do not know why he's on the show. He probably could go for Farmer Wants a Wife because then he has a lot more women to choose from, not when there's just one and he doesn't have a wiggle room to find his mate. I don't know. Poor Luke. Mel is not digging you. I don't think she ever will dig you. It's a long stretch of way. Just cut your loss, and I hope this particular Sunday during the commitment ceremony, those two leave our screens because it's not working, and it got even worse during the challenge week. And we're gonna get into that. But before we do, Beck, I think, was in the hot seat. And this was where she, the ladies pried a little bit more and wanted her to explain herself. And it was in this vein that Danny, brought up all the issues that plagued their honeymoon. And then Beck was like, well, yeah, I can blame myself for some of it. Tell me I'm the best thing since sliced bread. And I was like, did you have to say that? And this is where it pretty much ended because the next scene was, Revelations week. Now, the experts are, hell bent on kicking these guys hard, like getting them to start being compatible, or if they're not, find their differences, and if it's not fixable, move on. So Revelation week came quite early because usually we will see Revelations week towards the end of the series, but I would say it's a good step because that way they get to know everything at the early on and then decide if they want to stay on. I think this is actually the best way to go. Now, Revelations week started off with the couples moving in together. Now, a lot of them seem happy with their accommodation, except for Luke and Mel, of course. It did not gel. They forgot the key, had to go back. Is this sounding very familiar with how Luke forgot the ring? Yes, so it seems Luke is very forgetful. And they sat down, they couldn't even look each other in the face. It was just awkward. She kept referencing Bradley Cooper, and I'm like, can we get Bradley Cooper on the phone? No, I think Bradley Cooper is probably married, isn't he? To Blake Lively, if I'm not sure. I don't know, but she referenced a few rom-com, and I'm like, if this girl calls one more rom-com one more time, we'll send her to kindergarten because she's not ready. She is not ready. She seems like someone who is here for an OnlyFans fame or an Instagram fame. So while there's no connection between her and Luke, it got a lot worse because during Revelation week, They got them to do the photo ranking task, and is it any surprise that Mel chose Grayson because he's got blue eyes? Even though his hair is not exactly blonde, there was one feature which she found attractive, and not surprising, that made Luke feel a type of way. I think it oh God, it got worse, guys, because I think there was a few revelations where they had to have a quick fire, tell me what I don't know about you, to well, Mel actually revealed that she's a stalker. She owns 3 Instagram accounts just to stalk her ex. She goes on a drive-by with her friends. They each pick and choose whose ex's house they're going to terrorize or stalk for the night. They pretty much have got nothing to do all but stalk their ex. I found it that the expert knew about this particular characteristic trait of hers and offered her a spot on this show. This is no longer for TV factor. There's no wow moment here. A stalker, if it was the opposite where a guy stalks a girl, we will be calling nothing but on this chick. Why are we tolerating the fact that she is admitting to us that she stalks people for a living? I don't know if she gets paid for this, but she quite literally said, we do it multiple times a week. Like every day of the week, we just choose a different victim and we go on a rampage to stalk them. I'm like, what is this? This is no example for young girls to emulate. This is such a bad narrative. And I guess this was too much for Luke to bear, that he said he needed some space. He left the accommodation for Mel. Mate, pray she doesn't stalk you just after you left. We'll move on from this particular couple having their revelation challenge, off to not a great start, to a few other couple who had a good run with it. There was a hiccup between Gia and Scott at the tail end of the attack, because during the interview session, Scott did reveal that, not that he didn't want a partner with children, he just does not want the responsibility that comes with, which is quite fair. He's single, he has got no children of his own, maybe no experience to that effect. Now Gia, on the other hand, has got 8 years experience of raising kids, so fair enough, he doesn't really want that to start off his relationship. But you know what, the expert chose one for him, and nevertheless he has shown that he was going to accept her because she ticks up the other boxes for him. And Gia was up in the air and up in arm as to why he even made that comment. I'm like, Gia, you're so full of yourself. Go sit down somewhere. You should be lucky that the guy is even willing to accept you, your BS attitude and all. Safe to say, Scott has a lot more explaining to do in this regard. But outside this particular challenge, they did well with the trying to come the quick fire questions, as well as the photo ranking challenge, where they both choose each other as top choice. We got to Danny and Alicia. Again, they excelled very well. Rachel and Steven, by the way, Steven did own up to the fact that he made a not so nice comment to Rachel during the dinner party, and the ladies over there were sort of proud of Steven. Rachel did come to his defense to say, yes, I might have overreacted, but it is what it is. Setting the path clear for future conversation is the best way to go. Give it up to them. Do I think they're a perfect match? Not really. They both have a lot of baggages, but again, they aced the revelation challenge well, because they saw each other, they were able to empathize, and they were able to fix each other in the box, because they both share similar rejection from society in terms of who they are, how they look, and just their demeanor. I hope they can find some balance and grow from here to a romantic relationship, because at this point it's giving best friend. They ended up deciding to adopt or introduce a new member to the family. And that was buying a few fishes to grow their domesticated life. But good on them. They are giving it a red hot crack, I would say. Now we move on now to Beck, Rebecca, and Steve. Honestly, they are slowly acing this particular challenge. Again, they're stuck with each other. There's no other older couple here. But we get to a point where we see Steve's personality, and that explains why he is still very much single. Now, this particular episode sort of ended with Luke moving out of the house, but I want to say the highlight for me was Danny and Beck. Now, during this particular quickfire challenge, again, in the conversation with regards to intimacy and lack thereof came off, which again devastated Beck. But Danny quite suddenly came up to the plate and reassured her and say, I rather it be a slow burn at the start because this is different from what I am used to, and I am trying to be better. And I guess a change is something that might give me the reality check that I need. Good on Danny. And then he went for that during the photo ranking challenge. He said, I'm not going to pair you with anyone. I'm not even going to look at the other women. You are the one that I'm here for. I choose you. I don't care about the photo ranking challenge. Went on out and chalked the photo right at the back. And I'm like, good on you, Danny. You've stepped up. I don't know if this is going to be the miracle that makes this relationship work. You know what? It's still early days. We'll watch this space to see how they progress in this particular show. Brooke and Chris, on the other hand, are having a very rocky start at this particular Revelations Week challenge. Chris, during his diary session, did reveal that all he wants in a woman is someone that is not tanned with, and just it was a lot for Brooke to take. I guess Brooke, we've seen Chris. Chris has revealed who he is. There is no denying that. It's just Brooke is now getting to play catch up. Is she happy about this? No, she called her sister. The sister said, run for the hills, girl. It's only going to get worse from here. Chris, on the other hand, is trying to, make it right. I don't know how best this is going to correct itself. You're a douchebag. It is clear as day. There's no cutting. Let's just not cut. Let's cut through the BS and admit to who you are. Maybe when you admit to who you are, Brooke can navigate and say, do I think I might accept you for who you are? Yes or no? But at this point, it's safe to say Chris is still giving us douchebag vibes. And so the week ended with the final challenge by the expert, and that was for the couples to break apart to groups and discuss what they consider red or green flags about their partner. Now, this particular exercise did reveal some character that were questionable, and that is in the person of Brooke. Now, Brooke did highlight all the red flags she considered Chris to have, which of course embodied all the fat shaming comment that he made in his interview sessions with the experts, as well as every other behavioral trait that he's been exhibiting for the most of the 3 weeks they've been together. Now, Brooke didn't end there with her antics. She just went further and showed a bit of a nasty side to her, especially when Alicia went on to speak about her experience with David, as well as when Stella also said something in her experience with Philip. Brooke seemed to know a lot more than we do, and in fact, it showed that she is what we consider the mean girl type of she was giving mean girl. Gia, did not hold back. She did obviously glorify all of the green lights or the green flags. That was Scott. Now I'm going to say the expert probably stole this red banner green flag thing from Joe, Stella's cousin, who couldn't help but tell us how much of a red flag Philip was during the wedding, just because he did introduce himself as a YouTuber whilst he was reading out his vow. Now, this particular challenge was a bit testing, and this was in part to when Steve, the older couple here, Steve, who's as we all know is Rebecca, said he had a lot to say when it comes to what he considers the things that are red flag for him. And oh my God, the list was a long one. He did not have any good thing to say about Rebecca. Pretty much, Rebecca has to be the last one that would have her voice heard, meaning she talks a lot. Rebecca wants everything sexualized. Apparently, Rebecca has been giving him sexual clues, sexual innuendos. He's not comfortable with that, and he feels like he needs to go slow, establish sort of a relationship to get to know the person before the physical side is introduced. And that makes me, I beg the question, Steve, what's going on down there? I don't think that is working as optimal as it should, because if you at this age is all about I want to get to know you at a deeper level, it tells us why you're single. It's something more than meets the eye. I did say Rebecca was paired with the obvious available, not because that was the perfect choice for Rebecca. But we digress to Luke, because we all know Luke went away just to calm himself down, giving all of the negative feedback and the lack of communication between him and Mel. Now, when Luke came back, apparently Brooke is in the know to the fact that she went on social media and found out that Luke's family members were just bashing Mel on social media. Brooke relayed that message to Mel, who also then assessed this particular comment and saw it for herself. Now, when Luke came back, Mel confronted him. He did say he is not, comfortable with the fact that the sisters are bashing Mel online, and he is sorry. That speaks volume of Luke's character, quite frankly. Mel wasn't having a bar of it. She wanted Luke to pretty much cut his head off and give her in the platter. So she feels like she is deserving of all the apology, of all the wrong that's been done by her. Mel refused to take accountability of her parts. That has led to, should I say, the non-existent relationship between her and Luke. She did echo the same thought when she had her opportunity to share what green flags or red flag there was in the relationship. As we all know, there won't be any green flags from Mel's point of view. She didn't see anything because basically Luke was not Ken or Bradley Cooper, if I would say. She had all the negative things to say, and then Stella came on Luke's defense, and I quite agree with Stella. Stella said, I understand how you feel. I feel like we do need to hear Luke's side of things to be able to find the truth. And very quickly, Brooke jumped on Stella's neck to say, you're not supporting the girls. You meant to support the girls, regardless of whatever the case may be. You support the girls. And I'm like, wow, Brooke, I didn't see this coming, but I think you do deserve Chris. This is the type of matchup that's perfect for the two of you. There's no way you deserve anyone else, because your character is nothing to write home about. Quite frankly, it is shitty behavior. I'm not sure who else can put up with that. Rachel was so uncomfortable. You could see her just like squeezing into her chair, like to disappear, quite, because she was just like, what is going on here? I cannot deal with this dynamic. Gia and Beck, of course, were throwing shade at each other any opportunity they could get. I can't wait for the dinner, for the commitment ceremony tonight. It's going to be an interesting one, and I hope the expert definitely call out Mel and also call out Brooke for her shoddy behavior, because it's quite unlike her. I mean, I saw her in good light at the start, but then again, there's a lot of things that will be unveiling itself as this women or this contestant sort of relax and no longer are aware of the cameras trailing them, pretty much. I'll come on the comment section and share your thoughts as to the week that was. Again, like I said, it wasn't as dramatic as I was hoping it would be. Hopefully this week, with the commitment ceremony kicking off things, it might, stir a few pots and just get us into the drama. I cannot wait. Now, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Remember, you are deserving. Bye.